This is the last one of the summer. Of course, we're ranking the craziest transfer rumors before deadline day. Let's see which deals will get in line, and let's see if the players like Alexander Isak, Jørgen Larsen, Alejandro Garnacho, if they can get all their moves by the end of the summer. Let's get straight into it. Let's start this one with Piero Hincapié. Apparently, he's on the verge of joining Arsenal. There is also a link to Tottenham. Apparently, Tottenham has been even bidding for him. There is a loan plus obligation to buy that Spurs have put on the table, but he's only willing to join Arsenal. What about the player, though? I think he would bring combativeness. He's a young player, still has a lot to earn, and I would back him to develop under a manager like Mikel Arteta, but a bit curious where he would play because I don't see him being the starting left center back in that Arsenal team. I don't see him also playing as a center back. We know that Arteta values aerial dominance, values dominance in that defense, and Piero Hincapié is only 5'11". Don't see how he would start in that center back role, but he is good also as a left back. We have seen him playing as a traditional left back, but you've got already Miles Kelly, you've got Ricardo Carafioni, and you've got also Zinchenko. Let's not forget about Zinchenko too. So I'm a bit curious on why would Arsenal spend 60 million on him. Look, in terms of squad depth, if he comes in for a decent price, maybe below that 60 million mark, for me that's a good addition. What about Nicolas Jackson? He's been heavily linked to FC Bayern in the last few hours. Newcastle also are still trying. Look, I might be maybe the only one who still believes in Nicolas Jackson. And don't forget that in his first Premier League and scored more than 10 Premier League goals. Last season he had 15 goal involvement in the league in 30 Premier League games. I don't think that's ridiculous. I think there is a ceiling out there for Nicolas Jackson, and I think his all-around qualities would fit many teams. His link-up play is really nice. Yes, he's a big underperformer. He's a big XG underperformer, and his finishing needs to be worked on. But right now, on the transfer window, on the market, closest player to Alexander Isak for me, it's Nicolas Jackson. And then I think with the right manager like Eddie Howe, he would be a great player. So for me, I think it would be even a smart move for either Newcastle or even Bayern Munich. I think it would be a solid backup for Harry Kane, and he could even play across the front line at FC Bayern. So for me, even for the price, I think it would be a smart move. What about Jørgen Larsen? If you haven't seen my recent video where I'm talking about the Premier League players who are going to explode, go watch it because I've talked about Strand Larsen, and I believe he's going really to have a great season. I think he's at least going to have the same season he had last season, meaning at least 14 Premier League goals in the Premier League. I think he can only get better. Look, he's not Alexander Isak. He's not the same type of player, but in that Eddie Howe team, which create a lot of chances again against Liverpool, we've seen the amount of chances they create. We've seen the amount of crosses that Livramento and Kieran Trippier puts in the box with a player with a profile like Strand Larsen, who's more like a poacher, who's more like a traditional number 9, and you get at the end of those crosses, he would score many goals in that Newcastle team. And for a fee less than 80-90 million, the price that they were supposedly gonna pay for Benjamin Sesko, I think it's really a good addition. For me, I think it would be a smart move. Do I believe Wolves would sell? I think they would sell this summer because they are also linked to other strikers. I don't see any negative about Strand Larsen. I think it would be a good Alexander Isak replacement. Talking about Alexander Isak, look, as a Liverpool fan, I think I'm less optimistic because the transfer window ends Monday. Will Alexander Isak join Liverpool? I think it's becoming unlikely, but also on the other side, I don't see how he can reintegrate that Newcastle side. He has been clear that he won't play again for Newcastle. So how will this end up? Will Alexander Isak stay on the bench or even not play till January transfer window? I don't see how it will happen. But if it happens, let's say if this happens again, there is Hugo Ekitike at Liverpool, I know, but Alexander Isak for me is the best striker in the league. Behind Erling Haaland, he's the second best striker in the Premier League. he guarantees you at least 20 Premier League goals. His link-up play is exceptional, and I think Ekitike also has shown at Frankfurt that he's capable of playing with another striker in front of him. He can play also as a left winger. If the fee is right, for me, that's the best transfer of the window. So for me, Alexander Isak is a wow. What about Lucas Paquetá? We've seen him linked to Tottenham. We know that they haven't been able to sign Morgan Gibbs-White this transfer window. They haven't also been able to sign Eberechieze, who chose to join Arsenal, and so they're turning to Lucas Paquetá. I think he's more of a different player to Eze and Gibbs-White. He's less silky, less dribbler than Eze and Gibbs-White, but I think he's more hardworking off the ball. He can also play more center midfield, can play across more roles in that Tottenham team. But since his move fell into Manchester City, I don't think he's the same player. Yes, last season he ends up with 4 goals, I think, and 9 assists in the Premier League, which is a decent output. But I don't think that's the profile that Tottenham needs. They need someone who's gonna be more creative as a type of player, and I don't think that would be a smart move. Maybe if the fee is right, if the fee is below that 60 million mark that I've been hearing, maybe that would be a good addition. What about Marc Guéhi? If you follow this channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Marc Guéhi. Look, 6'4", left-footed. He's already a leader at Crystal Palace. He only has 1 year left on his contract, so his value is really low. Look, tell me any downside about Marc Guéhi to Liverpool. There is no downside. Marc Guéhi should be the player that Liverpool, Chelsea, any other team, even Tottenham that are looking for a centre back, a player that everyone should be willing to sign. But apparently he only wants Liverpool. And look, guys, there is no downside about Marc Guéhi. For me, this is a wow. And I think he even takes the spot of Ibrahima Konate if he joins Liverpool. What about Xavi Simons, who has been heavily linked to Chelsea? We know that Chelsea have been heavily linked to Xavi Simons all the window. He's been showing a lot of also interest to Chelsea, but the move hasn't been happening, and Tottenham has slowly entered the race. Do I see him fit in a Thomas Frank team, in a Thomas Frank setup? Of course, yes. I think that's a player that is almost close to Eberechieze, can play off wing, can play as a number 10, really has a huge ceiling, can fit in the Premier League, and I would be curious to see how Thomas Frank utilizes him. So for me, I think that would be a really, depending on the price, I think that would be a smart move for either Tottenham or even Chelsea. What about Antony to Real Betis? Look, Antony has been showing interest to rejoin Betis since his successful loan spell, and I think really there's no downside on this move. I think he has shown that he can come back from that Manchester United disappointment transfer, and I think he can bounce back also as a player. So for me, I think for the right fee, I think that's a smart move from Betis. What about another player that really pushed out by Manchester United, and it's Højlund? I don't think that Højlund will stay at Manchester United, but apparently Napoli are looking to agree a loan with an obligation to buy around 35 million, and I think that's the best really situation for him, for also Manchester United. And I really don't want to forget what Højlund has shown in his first few seasons in Serie A, playing at Atalanta. We have seen a glimpse of potential, and I think there is a player in Højlund, and I think his quality is all around fit this Serie A. And I think in a team that works with a manager that trusts him, so that gives him time, and without all that Manchester United pressure, I think he would become good. So for me, I think it's a good addition for Napoli. Curious to see what Napoli will do in the Champions League. They have really bought a lot of players this summer, so let's see. What about Fermín López? Fermín López has publicly said that he won't leave Barcelona this summer, but Chelsea have put on a bid of 50 million, and Barcelona are really tempted to sell Fermín López. We know that they have financial problems, and a big bid like 50 million would be welcomed by Barcelona. And I think Fermín López really qualities fit the Premier League. He's more of a box crusher, not like a regular number 10, or more of a Xavi Simons type of player, not more of a creative midfielder. He's more of, you know, that player that will get at the end of the crosses, who will score also lots of goals. Last season he had 14 goals and 5 assists in all competitions involved, and I think Fermín López, there is a quality player in him. But I doubt that Barcelona would sell him this late at the window without even a replacement. We also know that Dani Olmo gets injured often. So for me, I think this deal is unlikely. But the other deal that Chelsea have been looking up to is Garnacho. Garnacho, I think move is close. I think Garnacho really goes straight to good addition. I think he is even an upgrade to Bino Gideon, and he's more Premier League proven. And don't forget that he comes from a season with 20 goal involvement in that Manchester United team. I think he can only get better with a manager that can utilize him with on his qualities and trust him. I think Nacho can show great things. We have seen them in the Premier League. We remember his goal of the season. I think there is a lot to come from Garnacho. Another player that there is a lot to come is Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo, I don't think he will leave to Manchester United. There is rumors apparently Real Madrid and even FC Bayern are willing to make a move for Kobbie Mainoo, but let's be honest, I don't think he'll move. He'll leave this summer. I think Manchester United won't refuse a huge bid, but I don't see Real Madrid going and bidding 50 million for Kobbie Mainoo this summer. They don't need another midfielder. They don't need also a player like Kobbie Mainoo, more of a box-to-box midfielder. I don't think that's the player that Xabi Alonso wants. I think he would fit in a Bayern team, but we know that Bayern aren't the type of team that will spend big on players. So I don't see Kobbie Mainoo leaving this late in the transfer window. Another player that's going to leave at this transfer window, and we've seen it because it's also said goodbye to PSG in front of the fans, is Gianluigi Donnarumma. Gianluigi Donnarumma is linked to a move to Manchester City. We've seen how they have really like huge goalkeeping problems at Manchester City, but I doubt that this is the right profile that Pep Guardiola needs. We know that Pep Guardiola wants a goalkeeper that's going to play as his 11th player. The goalkeeper that Pep Guardiola wants, he has to be like a sort of defender. That's why they went for a player like Ederson. You already have James Trafford, who is a great shot stopper. You have a different profile to Ederson. So what's the point of bringing Donnarumma in? He's exceptional. He's an exceptional shot stopper, the best goalkeeper, I think, of the last season, the best goalkeeper in the world right now. I don't think his qualities is what Pep Guardiola team needs. Look, for me, I'm not convinced about this transfer, not because of the player, but because of his qualities. I don't think he matches the Pep Guardiola system. Another player that I like and I would love to see in the Premier League is Nico, the creative midfielder that's playing for Como this season. We've seen even his turning free kick. If you haven't seen it, guys, go watch his turning free kick last week. He's an exceptional player, exceptional qualities, an exceptional dribbler, really tidy, really silky player. And I think this maybe is the closest player to Eberechi Eze, and Tottenham are apparently interested, that they have even put on a bid of 70 million. But you all know that Real Madrid still have control on the player. Real Madrid are willing to match any bid that will be given to Como, and Como don't really need the money, so I don't see why they would sell Nico past this late at this time of the window. So for me, unlikely, but this is a player I would love to see in the Premier League in the next few seasons. So guys, those are the final rumors of the transfer window. Let me know what you think in the comment. Let me know what rumor you would have liked to happen this transfer window. Let me know which deal you think is gonna happen. I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments, and see you for the next one.